the popcorn, put on your comfiest pajamas, and grab a drink because it's time for a new episode of Sierra Unfiltered. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sierra Unfiltered.
Hey, friends.
Hey, what you drinking?
I'm drinking cranberry juice. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Truly.
Love that for you.
I feel like that's become my new podcast beverage because when I drink wine, it's like a little much. Mm-hmm. But if I'm drinking water, like I feel kind of basic. So I like...
Wow, just drag me for drinking water all the time.
You're pregnant. You kind of have to.
Well, and we film this in your home studio, so I don't have like lemonade and tea and things to choose from. So it's usually like it's usually water.
Yeah. So cheers.
Woo!
Ding, ding. There we go. What is your unpopular opinion today? I started last time, so you start today.
What is mine? Oh, I remember what mine is. Mine is that Meet the Robinsons is the best Disney movie of all time.
Oh my god.
Period.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I'm sorry, nothing else holds a candle to it.
Is Chicken Little a Disney movie? Because I know you love Chicken Little.
Is Chicken Little a Disney movie?
I don't know.
I love Chicken Little. I also love a Bee movie. I love any story that's about like a small, like physically small male protagonist who's just like a nerd. Like their family hates them. They're down and out.
So do you love Napoleon Dynamite?
I do love
because
Napoleon
that's literally the
plot.
plot.
Also, he's not like physically small. Like, we're talking about a bee, a chicken, a child.
So you would like it better if he was like really short?
I would like it better if he was like a hamster. Can we remake Napoleon Dynamite?
2020 remake.
Hamster?
Poppy is Napoleon Dynamite.
That would be a great Halloween costume for her.
You should make her Napoleon Dynamite. That'd be so cute.
Okay. Just sure this is vote for Pedro.
But here's the thing. Okay, I will agree that Meet the Robinsons is an underrated movie.
Okay.
I like it. I enjoy it. Bowler hat guy, great 10 out of 10 twist villain. I would not say it's the best Disney movie.
I was expecting you wouldn't agree with me on that, but I appreciate that you appreciate the movie.
Yeah.
Because Kyle just says it's trash.
See, I don't think it's trash. I do enjoy it.
Like, for a long time, I said that, like, if I had a boy, his name would be Lewis, and if we had a girl, her name would be Eloise, partially because the protagonist in Meet the Robinson, his name is Lewis. Which, like, love that. Love Meet the Robinsons.
What do you love about Meet the Robinsons
Everything.
So much? Like, give me, like, a bullet point list.
First of all, time travel. So cool. Second of all, his parents hate him. He's an orphan. Love that for him. We love like a struggling protagonist.
Yeah.
And it's just so good. It's just so good. It's so heartwarming. I love everything about it. It's just the best movie. Sorry. I mean, I will say Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is the best movie of all time, but Meet the Robinsons is the best Disney movie.
So would your ranking of like every movie ever be like Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, Meet the Robinsons, Chicken Little?
Maybe. The Greatest Showman's in there too somewhere. But yes. Also, kind of going off of that, I feel like sequels are usually better than the first movie. Like, think Mamma Mia. Think Shrek.
Shrek 2 is the best sequel ever. I'm not even going to say just the best Shrek movie. Like,
I Need a Hero.
The Fairy Godmother version
is the best karaoke song.
Iconic.
Hands down.
So good.
Anyways, what's your unpopular opinion?
My unpopular opinion is that millennials, my generation, your generation, need to stop hating on Gen Z so much and calling them cringy. Just because they like to like dab and they like Fortnite and they like Jake Paul.
Like TikTok.
Like, we clown on them so much. But
I can't believe you just said we clown on them.
We do.
Who are you, Cody Co?
What's happening?
We clown on them.
This is Tiny Meat Gang.
This is Tiny Meat Gang from Two Vegetarians.
Yeah.
This is
two female vegetarians.
Tiny Faux Meat Gang.
Tiny Beyond Beef Gang.
Can we make merch that says Tiny Beyond Beef? I guess we couldn't, because Beyond Meat wouldn't approve it.
Maybe we could like do a collab with them, like Forever 21 style.
Dream collab.
Bella is licking my foot right now. Like,
that is so aggressive.
She's like aggressively.
I feel violated.
I keep trying to move it, and she keeps just following me.
I like that you just called Bella.
Well, I was moving my foot, but also like move Bella.
It.
But yes, she's licking my knee. Bella, knock it off.
So you just think we shouldn't bully the preteens?
No. Okay, here's the thing. Yes.
Oh, no. She's looking at me. Can she come up on the table?
Sure.
She really wants to come up on the table.
Bella.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, she's dropped on the wires. Okay, maybe not the best idea. Okay. So, yes, I had a good laugh at that video of the 2 TikTok stars doing a silent dance battle at VidCon. I'm not going to lie. Carrie and I laughed at it. But I would never go as far as some people to, like, quote tweet it and be like, this is what's wrong with the generation. It's like, you know what I was doing when I was 11? Like, kissing the photos of Joe Jonas on my bedroom wall. I had, like, a shrine to Joe Jonas. Like,
I love that for you.
I mean, I was an 11-year-old. Like, 11-year-olds, you know.
11-year-olds love Joe Jonas.
They do. And now they love, you know, TikTok and Jake Paul and whoever else.
Oh,
and yeah, maybe I don't get what they like. I don't pretend to get what, you know, 10 and 11-year-olds like. But, like, just making fun of them and saying what they like is stupid is exactly what, like, the previous generations do to millennials. That we are always like, oh, people don't understand millennials. So it's like, maybe we should be a little bit more forgiving of the TikTok stars doing a silent dance battle.
Agree. I feel like TikTok to Gen Z is like avocado toast to millennials.
Agreed.
And I love avocado toast.
It's a great, really, really great analogy.
So that's that on that.
So those unpopular opinions are completely unrelated to our topic at hand today.
Oh, before we get into our topic.
Bump date.
Bump date.
Bump date. We need like a theme song. Do.
So
bump
this
date.
isn't like a week. This isn't like based on the week that I am. This is just like a fun prego pact. This is a fun pregnancy pact.
I'm in.
Oh no, the comments are gonna be all about you being pregnant then.
I'm not
She's
pregnant.
not.
I'm not trying to be pregnant.
Also, just stop commenting about it. It makes me so mad.
I'm happy to take my time right now as like the crazy aunt. Like
Yes.
that's my time right now.
Just because you're a woman in your 20s and you're married and you own a house
And my best friends are both gonna be moms.
But that doesn't mean that you need to have babies anytime soon. So stop commenting. Anyways.
I don't mind it as much. But
I know,
yeah.
but I just feel like I don't want people to pressure you, because if people pressure you too much, then you actually will wait a long time. And then.
Well, that's true, because I am someone who like really pushes back on pressure.
Yes.
Where like if everyone is telling me don't get pregnant, I'd be like, well, maybe.
See,
I
want everyone to comment and be like, Sierra, please don't get pregnant.
Because
And
then
then you'll
tomorrow I'll be like,
hey.
I mean, I do want kids. I just like, I've literally said this for the past 3 years. I wanted both you and Kenzie to have kids before me. I mean, always said that.
We're almost there.
So I mean, also just to quell the comments for a little while, Steven and I are going to Mexico this month. If you're watching this, we have already gone to Mexico. You can't try within 3 months of going to Mexico because of Zika virus. So you guys can know that for at least 3 months, we will not be trying for a child.
Totally.
Anyways,
Woohoo.
bump date.
Bump date. Babies can cry in the womb. I think that is shocking.
I like to picture your little fetus just like throwing a temper tantrum.
Like, why
in there.
why are they crying?
What are they
Like, are they mad? Like, like the other day I was joking that I'm gonna get like those headphones for your bump, and I'm just gonna play like show tunes so that like they come out and they like love theater. But like, what if you played like On My Own over and over again, or like Memory from Cats?
They were
like
just sobbing.
Yeah. They're really empathetic when
Here's
they
the
come
thing.
out of the womb.
I get babies crying when they come out of the womb because the womb is nice and warm and comfortable and the world is terrifying. But when you're in the womb, what do you have to cry about?
I know. You have everything you need. You have nutrients. It's warm. You don't have to wear pants.
No. You don't even have to poop.
Sometimes pooping is fun.
It is. It's kind of therapeutic.
My stepdad is going to text me and be like, I had to turn it off when you said pooping is fun. That is too far. But anyways.
But okay, here's the thing. So you know how people call someone like a crybaby when they're like, you know, a crybaby? I think the step above that should be a cry fetus. Like, you're a cry fetus.
Bella keeps like licking my toes.
Oh my gosh.
This
podcast is really, really
derailed.
Yeah. So, I love that though. That means they're like developing like emotion and they can like express themselves.
Yeah, at 13 weeks they could start frowning and grimacing. Like a couple weeks earlier they could start like making facial expressions, but for some reason 13 weeks is when they could start making like negative faces.
When can they start like
So I just imagine, like, I have a friend who last night at dinner told me he doesn't like Hamilton. I just like to imagine my baby in the womb like, grrr, how dare you say you don't like Hamilton? Because, like, that's what I'm doing.
I love that.
I should just play, like, Eye of the Tiger for them so they come out fighting.
No, you should play I Need a Hero from Shrek 2. And then your baby will come out and be like, I need a hero.
That would be the greatest gift.
It would be so good.
Oh, love
I
that.
love that. I love that.
Anyways, our topic at hand. So we're going to be talking about all things weddings.
Yes.
But kind of focusing on, like, the good parts and the bad parts. That way, if you're planning on getting married, if you're ever going to get married, you can, like, take some advice from us. And if you have gotten married in the last couple of years, you can, like, relate.
Well, and the thing is, I think when a lot of people talk about their wedding, it's either, like, all positive, like, it was the most beautiful day, it was romantic, it was amazing, or it's like, here's everything that went wrong with my wedding day, which is a common video I've seen, and we kind of want to just do both. Like, we're going to start from the engagement, go all the way through, like, the honeymoon, and say our, you know, the things that went well and the things that we wish would have been different.
Yeah. So I think starting off, before we even got engaged, both of us went ring shopping with Steven and Kyle.
Yes.
Which, for me, was a really important thing.
Yeah, me too.
I loved it. I thought, first of all, it was super romantic and
I
exciting because I think for me, the idea of a proposal being, like, the first time someone's actually proposing the idea of marriage is terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Like, Kyle and I had so many conversations for months and months and months leading up to it.
Same.
Of, like, hey, do you want to get married before, like, the actual proposal happened?
Right.
And so for us, like, ring shopping, like, my ring is something I'm going to wear on my hand every day until I die.
Yeah.
So, like, I want to like it.
Well, one of the things that I think is, you know, kind of messed up with the whole idea of a proposal being the first time someone is proposing this idea of being together forever is the person doing the proposing, usually the man, gets forever to think about this idea and process it and weigh the pros and cons. And then usually the woman who's getting proposed to has to just snap judgment on the spot, decide yes or no.
Yes.
That is ridiculous. So Steven and I, had many, many conversations leading up to it. He still wanted the actual proposal to be a surprise, which I fully, you know, accepted and was like, totally, that's fine with me.
And then you had, like, a couple of ring options, right? You didn't narrow down, like, this is for sure the ring.
Yeah, I mean, our main thing was we wanted to go ring shopping to get my finger size, to kind of, like, pop that cherry so that Steven, it didn't seem so scary walking to a ring store for Steven, and to figure out a style I liked, because I had no idea what kind of style that I liked. And when we went in and tried on a bunch of rings in our price range, we figured out my favorite was, like, the 3 stone, because it's, first of all, it's supposed to be, like, the past, like, the present, and eternity of, like, all the...
I didn't know that. That's so sweet.
And then also, my mom has a 3 stone ring, and so does my grandma. And then I really liked the way it looked on my finger, and I was just like, okay, you know, I really like this. And when we went ring shopping, I tried on a 3 stone ring that I really liked, and I had said to Steven, like, it doesn't have to be this ring, just I like a 3 stone ring. So when you decide to go shopping, that's what I like. And I liked the white gold instead of, like, the traditional gold. Yeah. And I thought that was just, you know, like, putting out feelers. He bought a ring, that exact ring that day, like, while I was in the shop.
That is crazy.
And left with it in his pocket. And then we had another appointment to go to, like...
Go, Steven. That's some, like, what's it called? BDE? Is that how you say, like, what I'm trying to say without not being monetized?
Yes, I think so.
That's, like, a big power move.
Yeah,
that's
a
like,
power move.
She's in the other room.
I'm going to buy it.
Let's get it. She likes it. We're doing it. That's commitment.
But we had another appointment at, like, Zales or something, like, one of the, because this was, like, a, like, local boutique. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, like, we should go, like, we have an appointment. And I thought he was getting cold feet about proposing, because he kept being like, let's get frozen yogurt. Let's not go. Let's go home and watch a movie. Let's go, like, do something else. Like, in my mind, I was like, all right, we went and looked at these rings and he got scared off and he doesn't want to propose anymore. But what actually was going on is he was worried I was going to fall in love with another ring. And he would have already bought it.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So then he bought the ring that day. We had planned on getting engaged around the June area because that's when he was going to be graduating from college. And so we were like, okay, perfect. Like, or it wasn't graduating. It was because he had one more semester. It was like he was finishing the school year. It's like, cool, that's a good time to get engaged. So he had told me it would be June at the earliest. He proposed in April, so I was very caught off guard. It was earlier than I thought.
But you did have some inklings that he was going to propose earlier. Because I remember we went on a Mexico trip with the 4 of us, and the whole time you were like, is he going to propose?
Well, I thought it was like, for sure he was proposing on that Mexico trip. Yeah. Because we were with you and Kyle. You and Kyle had just moved in together. Yeah. So this was like our first trip as a couple together. Yeah. And you were there. So I thought for sure my best friend is here. She's going to, you know, take a photo while like it happens.
Yeah.
It's going to be romantic on the beach. I was so certain.
Oh, what is happening? Oh, I thought that was a fart.
No.
I wasn't sure if that was Bruce
No,
growling
growling
or
at
Carly
Bella.
farting.
Both. So I for sure thought it was going to happen in Mexico.
Yeah.
And Skylar told me, like, dead ass, she was like, he is not proposing. Don't think that's going to happen because then you won't enjoy the rest of the trip.
And I told her that before because I talked to him before. And then the first night, him and I had been drinking. And so we, like, went out on the patio. And, I literally turned to him and I was like, are you proposing? Like, I need to. And he's like, yes, I am, but not on this trip. Like, here's my plan. Here's whatever. And then I, like, went inside and was like, Sierra, for realsies, like, he didn't bring the ring. It's for sure not happening.
And then that trip was in, like, the last week of March because it fell on your birthday. Yeah. And then he proposed, like, April 8th. So it was only, like, 2 weeks later. Now, let's tell your proposal story.
Well, so, first of all, with ring shopping.
Oh, yeah.
So I did go with Kyle. I will say, I would recommend, like, if you want to go to a boutique, that's fun. We ended up getting ours, like, from, like, a smaller store. But I think you should go to a big store first because we lived in North Hollywood at the time. So we went to, like, the downtown LA, like, jewelry district. And so every store we went into was, like, very, very expensive and very, like, customized and, like, bougie. And I think that made it extra intimidating because we were walking in being like, hey, we're just looking, like, we're going to get engaged soon, but he's not buying a ring today.
Yeah.
And then it was all these people being like, here's a $50,000 ring, like, try it on.
Oh, lead like, with the budget.
That's for sure.
Would be one of my pieces of advice, too. Because if you try, it's the same thing with wedding dress shopping.
Yeah.
Don't try on a dress that's not in your budget.
Yes.
There's no, like, I just want to see, don't just see.
Yes, 100%. And also, I think for both of us, it worked out that, like, I think it's fun to go wedding ring shopping, but, like, I liked having a little bit of mystery going into it. So I went into it and was like, okay, this is for sure the style I like, but let's order it in rose gold. Let's get, like, a morganite instead of a diamond. Let's, like, adjust this and this. And so in doing that, I knew that I liked what I was getting, but I, like, had only seen it in silver. I'd only seen it with a diamond.
You had never seen the actual ring.
Yeah, so I feel like that was still, like, a fun, exciting thing, but I knew I was going to like it.
Right.
So, for our engagement stories.
Yes.
Well, first of all, there are, like, vlogs/videos of both of our experiences.
Yeah, and I will link both of those in the description if you want to see, like, how it actually went.
Yeah. Do you want to tell yours first?
Yeah, so, like I said, I didn't know it was going to happen then, but I knew it was coming. So we went on a hike. Steven got down on one knee on the hike, proposed. He had friends who I didn't know who were, like, students at his school. So, like, I had never met them, but he spent a lot of time with them, posing as, like, tourists with their cameras. So, like, they were, like, taking photos of everything, but I thought they were just, like, some tourists taking photos.
Yeah.
And then, so we had all these photos, which was amazing. And then both of our families ran out, and it was really, really romantic. And I think for me, I wanted a proposal that was really special. I didn't mind it being in public, but I didn't want, like...
a flash mob.
Yes. I didn't want, like, a Jumbotron proposal.
Totally.
And again, I think the word proposal is kind of funny because there was nothing really being proposed.
It was, like, a confirmation of, like, hey, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. And it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. Honestly, there was no bad parts about my proposal. Nothing I would change.
That's so sweet.
It was just amazing. What about yours?
I love that. Mine was at Disneyland, which was super fun. I feel like we've told this story a million times, but I'll tell it again. So Sierra and I went to Disneyland for the day, like, just the two of us. And I was, like, positive that Kyle was going to propose that weekend. Like, I was just so sure of it. And I, like, got really mad throughout the day because Sierra was going out of town. So I kept being like, if you're not going to be there, like, who's going to take the photos? Like, in my brain, it was like, we are going to, like, go to the woods or go wherever. And then, like, you would be there and take photos, or Jessica would be there and take photos, and, like, both of you were out of town.
That was the only time in my life I've straight up lied to you. Like, I straight up lied. Like, hardcore lied. Like, you were like, he hasn't talked to you about it? And I was just like, no. Like, I started acting, like, upset. I was like, honestly, I'm, like, kind of hurt that, like, Kyle, like, hasn't told me or, like, asked me. Like, you know,
Yeah.
Kyle and I are so close, and, like, he hasn't mentioned it to me. So, like, I don't know. You know, maybe he's not going to do it. Like, I was purposely misleading you.
And so we were, like, we spent the whole day at Disneyland, had a Disneyland beer. It was great. And then we, like, went to the Ferris wheel. And I was, like, going to take pictures of Sierra. And she was like, no, like, you go up there. Like, I'm going to take a picture of you. And I was like, no, like, I don't want a picture of me. Like, I'm not going up there. And you were like, get up there. And so I was, like, facing the Ferris wheel. And I turned around. And Kyle was, like, on his knee with the ring. And I literally, there's a picture of me. I, like, covered my face with my sweater and ran away because I didn't even process that, like, it was Kyle. Because he, like, tagged himself on Facebook at, like, a movie with his friend up in North Hollywood. And, like, he wasn't there all day. So I just thought there was, like, a random man, like, suddenly, like, a foot away from me. And so in my brain, I was like, danger, danger, like, there's a stranger here.
Run away.
And then I, like, processed, like, a second later that it was Kyle. So then I was like, oh, like, what are you doing here? And he had planned, like, a whole speech of, like, will you go on this adventure with me? This, that, and the other. And he just, like, absolutely did not get to say any of it because I was, like, just more shocked than anything. So it was really beautiful, and, like, Disneyland's a really special place for us. But I would say maybe, like, a little less surprise would be good if you're planning a proposal.
Yeah.
Just, like, even knowing that the person is there. Because I think that, like, the surprise of it made it really fun. Because I don't really get to, like, be surprised that much in life. Like,
Right.
I plan everything.
Right.
So that was really fun. But I do think I was, like, double surprised because I was so surprised that he was there, and I wanted to know the logistics of, like, how you guys planned it. And I do feel like I focused a little less on the fact that, like, I just got engaged and more on, like, oh my God, let me see your guys' texts. Like, how did you do
plan
this? You know?
Yeah. I feel that. Like, you would have, like, it might have been better if you knew he was there.
Yeah.
Because the first surprise was, oh my gosh, Kyle, what are you doing here? And then the second surprise was like, and you're proposing.
Totally.
Okay. So then right after he proposed,
Yes.
what was, like, the first big wedding planning things that you guys did?
Well, I think for both of us, like, the engagement party.
Right. And
was the
so
first big thing.
Skylar's engagement was exactly a year.
Yes.
You got married on the same day you got engaged,
which
right?
we totally didn't plan at all. And then it, like, popped up in my Facebook memories, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I guess we got engaged exactly a year ago. That's fun.
Which is so cool.
But so we both had engagement parties, which not everyone does, but
Yeah.
I think was really fun.
I thought it was a really good way, especially because me and Steven's engagement was a year and a half, so it was a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good way to celebrate with people.
Mhm.
And, you know, one of my favorite things about weddings is getting to be around all the people that love you. One of the, like, half jokes that I always say is, like, the only time all the people you love are going to be in a room together is your wedding and your funeral, and you're not going to be alive for your funeral, so you might as well enjoy it for your wedding.
Totally. And I feel like any excuse to, like, get together with family and
Yeah.
have, like, a barbecue.
Yeah.
It's, like, a great thing.
And we didn't have, like, extravagant, expensive barbecues. Like, yours was in your grandma's backyard. Mine was in my parents' backyard. Yeah. And it was just nice. We, like, did a lot of DIYs leading up to it. You and I went thrifting for all of, like, the fun little things for my engagement party.
I will say, the first bad thing is I think that, I don't know if it happened for you, but at least for me, the engagement party was the first thing where I, like, really had to send out invitations and decide who's invited. And I think my least favorite thing with weddings is, like, guest list drama.
Well, and anyone that you invite to your engagement party, you have to invite to your wedding.
Totally.
Like, no matter what, no matter if you have a huge falling out to that person, you can't invite someone to an engagement party and not invite them to the wedding. I mean, even, like, there were some people that, like, Steven was doing an activity with at the time, or that I was, who we were really close to at the time of the engagement party, and then when the wedding came around, you know, like, maybe we wouldn't have been as close with them.
I mean, there were some people that were at my engagement party that were not invited to my wedding, but that's a whole separate thing.
Yeah, that's
But
family drama. I feel like that's different.
But I think that it is hard that if you have a friend or a coworker where you're like, oh, just come, it's this weekend, then, like, a year and a half later, you're obligated to pay, like, $50 or $60 for them to, like, be at your wedding and take up a seat.
Probably.
Yeah. So, like, $120 depending. Yeah. But it is a whole to do.
I think the engagement party also showed Stephen and I how important it is to, like, be present, because we realized at the end of our engagement party we had only spent maybe 30 minutes together. because we were running around both trying to see everyone. And at the end of that night, I remember Steven and I having a conversation where he's like, I feel like this really made me prepared for the wedding, knowing that, like, I need to take advantage of spending time, like, with us together. And yeah, it's good to, like, see everyone, but also, like, this is our day, and we need to make sure that we both have a lot of time together. And so I think the engagement party was kind of a good, like, practice.
And also I think for me, my engagement party taught me that, like, not everything has to be perfect.
Yeah.
I think, like, even Kyle and I built, like, a giant donut wall and all sorts of things for our engagement party. And I was so focused on, like, because I'm very focused on, like, the aesthetics of things and making sure that, like, I spent, like, hours making, like, my engagement party playlist and making sure that, like, everything happened. And we got there and, like, the speakers weren't working. And, like, someone had put out some decor that I hadn't bought. And, you know, like, things happen and life happens. And I think that was, like, the first event that I went to where I was like, oh, things are gonna go wrong on my wedding day.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, that's not what it's about.
You can't get wrapped up in it. That's one of, I think, the biggest piece of advice I would give to anyone who's getting married. Do not fixate on the details, because you know what? Things are going to go wrong on your wedding day, no matter how perfectly you plan. And if you stress about the wrong flowers getting delivered or your dress not being as perfect as you thought, those aren't the things you remember when you look back at your wedding day.
Also, I feel like I can't emphasize enough, your wedding is about the marriage.
Yes.
Not about the wedding.
Yeah.
The wedding is just a celebration.
Of
and
the
it's
marriage.
one day.
Yeah.
Like, you spend a year and a half, however many months planning your wedding, and it's like a huge thing. People, like, have giant books that they buy about it. People hire wedding planners.
Right.
And the reality is that it's one day and it's a party.
Yeah.
And marriage is such a special thing. Weddings are a special thing. But I think it's important to have that perspective, because I feel like people get lost in the hubbub of it all.
Yeah.
Like, even things like bridesmaid dresses. That's just what your closest friends are going to wear at your party.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's great if they look cute in pictures. It's great if everyone feels comfortable in them. But the reality is, like, don't make people buy, like, a $600 dress.
Yeah.
Because you're not even going to care about their dress on that day.
Right.
Like,
well, and that's another thing. I think wedding planning is a good prerequisite to marriage, because it forces you to work together and compromise and delegate as well. And it helps you learn to work with the other person's family.
Yeah.
You know?
One of the things I talk about a lot when I'm talking to, like, people in my life that aren't married but are in serious relationships is I feel like marriage is, like, 60% like love and passion and being soulmates and being forever, like, emotionally connected, and 40% like being life partners.
Yeah.
40% of it's like living together and dealing with, like, deaths and car crashes and insurance and clogged toilets and, like, the reality of, like, spending so much of your time with them, potentially, like, raising kids, buying a property. Like, you have to be life partners. And so I feel like wedding planning can be a good, like, prerequisite to make sure that, like, you're on the same page with that.
Oh, for sure. And then, okay, so the big wedding planning things, what was the hardest thing for you with wedding planning?
Ooh. It'll take me a second
I'll
to
go
think
first
about that.
if
Do
you
you have
want.
something
Yeah.
that you can?
The guest list and the seating chart, because we had, like, a big, like, formal dinner with a seating chart. I got in the biggest fight with my dad over the seating chart, and I still think I'm in the right. And Dad, if you're watching this, I know you still think you're in the right. But getting the seating chart perfect was really difficult, because it was like, this person doesn't like this person. We don't want this person to be at a table with no one they know. This person's going to feel snubbed if they're not at this table. So we literally had, like, my seating chart, like Chromecasted to the TV with, like, my whole family sitting around so we could get, like, everyone's input. We finally got it perfect. Like, the table numbers, the positions of the tables, who's at every table. And we set it up so that all of Steven's family's tables were even numbered and all my family's tables were odd numbered. We had, like, the high numbers on one side, the low numbers on another. Very exact. We finally get it perfect, and my dad goes, I want to be table number 1. And I was like, well, you're table number 2, because we have Steven's family being odd numbered and you guys being even. No, we want to be table number 1. Well, and Steven's family's at, because we had, like, one family table with, like, both of our parents. He's like, well, Steven's family's at this table. Why can't we make our table number 1? And I was like, Dad, do you really care that much about being table number 1? I was like, I'm saying it calmly now. I was livid. I was, like, screaming, which is so ridiculous to scream over a literal number. But I was so
you
mad.
put so much hard work into it, and it was such, like, a minute thing.
And then, so finally in the end, I just switched the number, and one of the tables was in the wrong place. So it was number 1 instead of number 2. And it was whatever. It was fine. It wasn't a big deal. But I got so upset over it. So upset. The guest list in the seating chart was just really difficult. And it's also really difficult to tell your parents and your partner's parents no.
Yes.
About people on the list, especially if they're contributing any money to the wedding. You want to make sure that like they feel like they're being honored.
Yeah.
And so it was hard to say no to like, you know, I'm like, I haven't seen that relative in 6 years.
Yeah.
You know?
I think for both of us, the guest list was a really hard part.
Yeah.
I think for everybody, it's a really hard part. I mean, there were people at both my wedding and your wedding who, like, we had never met before.
Yeah.
Like, they were people from our partner's side or, you know, I don't think Kyle had really anyone like that because I just told my parents straight out no.
Yeah.
I was like, sorry, you can have, like, one friend.
Yeah.
Or, like, if they're family friends who I want to be there, like, of course, I'm going to invite them because that's going to enhance my experience. But, like, your friends who I don't really know, like, sorry, they don't need to see me, like, cry and pledge my eternal love to Kyle. Like, that's not something I care about. So that was something that was really hard for me. Like, just accepting that there are going to be people who I have never met before, seeing me, like, cry and talk about how Kyle's, like, my soulmate and, like, make that eternal pledge to him.
Well, and also drawing the line for plus ones is another battle. Because once you figure out the list, then it's like, okay, you know, this person lives with their partner. Of course I'm going to invite their partner.
Especially since we're both in our 20s. I feel like a lot of our friends aren't married. And so they don't understand, like, the etiquette that comes with weddings.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of Kyle's friends. And I think a lot of Steven's friends, too.
So how did you handle it? Because what I did is I said anyone who's in a relationship that has been in that is in a relationship when we send out the invitations, which was what, like 3-4 months before, totally invite their person by name, not plus one, because then if they break up, it's not like you just get to bring someone else.
Yeah.
And we did have a few couples break up where then they were like, can I bring someone else? And I'm like, no, sorry, sorry. Also, anyone who was coming as a single and like didn't have a significant other who wasn't coming in a group.
Yeah.
So like my whole group of like girlfriends from high school, I didn't need to give them plus ones because either they were in a committed relationship or they were excited to be coming as a group. If I had like one single friend from like a different group or from work or from some sort of, you know, activity, I gave them a plus one. They could bring their mom, their friend, their, you know, person they just met, whoever they wanted, because I wanted them to feel comfortable. But we had someone text us the night before the wedding, like literally we got home from our rehearsal dinner all nice, like setting everything out for the next day, who's like, hey, it's cool if I bring someone tomorrow, right? No, it's not cool. And
especially you guys had what, like a 3-course dinner for everyone, and
with a seating we had given our final guest count a week before.
It's just not acceptable. I don't know. I think for sure my hardest thing was like with wedding planning was people accepting my kind of like weird choices that we had, because we had a very like irregular, like atypical wedding.
You guys had like an indie wedding.
Yeah, we like got married in a theater,
which
also
was
like
amazing. I tell everyone, I'm like, I have never seen a wedding that was more right for the people getting married than you guys. Because you had Skylar did all the lighting design. It was beautiful.
And my friend Zach helped me, which is very sweet. I feel like that's like the true testament of trusting someone is like lighting design is my thing. So to be like, can you please help me?
You had like a stage manager instead of a wedding planner. Yeah. You had these beautiful fairy lights all over the stage. It was so truly and authentically you guys. But I could see how some people who are like very traditionalist, this is how a wedding is supposed to happen.
It was like every decision we made was like tested by someone. Like we did like a food truck that had like veggie burgers and regular burgers. And like we didn't have, like we had cocktail tables and we made sure that there were enough seats for like people who were over a certain age.
Well, and there were seats in the theater. Yeah. If someone needed to sit, they could go sit in the theater.
Seriously. And so, but like the idea of like having a food truck and like not really having appetizers other than like French fries, and I think we did like a side salad or something that you could order. I don't even really remember. I didn't eat on my wedding day, which is like another bad thing. But or like I was barefoot for my wedding. Yeah. And like every single like wedding dress fitting, every single time I would like be in a store with like one of my female relatives or one of Kyle's female relatives, they'd be like, look at these stiletto heels. Don't you just think that you'll feel more feminine if this, that, and the other? And I was like, no, I have anxiety and I want to feel grounded. Like, also I'm in a theater. Like, I'm not in the woods. Like, there There are no hazards.
They're going to sweep the stage before and you're fine.
Yeah, so I got like little like white Toms that I could wear for like our outdoor photos and then was just barefoot the whole time. But so I feel like every little decision like that was like questioned by everyone.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because it's like, hey, we're paying to throw this party and you're invited. So like, I understand that you want to have a fun time and you want like the people that you're inviting to have a fun time, but also like, it's our party and we're paying for it. So, like, if I want to be barefoot, I can be barefoot.
Well, also, you being barefoot doesn't affect anyone.
Exactly. Like, why?
Yeah.
But I feel like weddings bring out, like, the weird side in people.
They do. But they also bring out, like, it shows you who really has your back.
Yeah.
Like, on my wedding day, my curls started to fall out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, halfway through photos, and Skylar and my friends Emily and Elena, the twins, they literally like ran to their cars, grabbed their curling irons, like plugged them in. We're like doing my hair really, really quick.
Yeah.
Like it shows you who's there in the tough times.
Totally.
I mean, I like that I'm like really, really like they're there for me in adversity when my curls were falling out.
But seriously, like I was feeling like a little sick after my wedding, and my friend Brent and Jessica and a girl named Grace all were like with me in the parking lot, making sure that like I wasn't sick.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about the actual wedding day and what things went great and when things didn't go as well as we
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So my first thing is...
Do we want to talk about the bad things and then end on the good things?
Oh, yeah,
and then
yeah.
we can go into advice.
That's a good idea.
Because I feel like the bad things are kind of funnier.
That's true. Okay. Morning of the wedding, I made the most ridiculous packing list you've ever seen for Steven and I. It was like, this is going in this bag, this is going to the hotel. Like, I had everything down to a science. Steven forgot his tux.
Typical Steven.
He was driving over to his parents' house in the morning to have breakfast and realized that he forgot his tux. It was fine. It had enough time to go back and get it. It was just kind of funny.
Yeah.
Also, he completely forgot to do his hair. Like, didn't put gel in it, didn't have anything done with it. He was about to walk down the aisle and he looks in the mirror and he's like, oh my gosh, I never did my hair. And just like put some water in it. And that was it. But I legitimately didn't notice. Our flower petals, we totally forgot to book flower petals. Like when we did all the florist stuff.
Oh.
And our wedding planner came to us, or we didn't have a wedding planner, but we had a day of coordinator, came to us and was like, hey, or she didn't even come to me. She didn't even bother me with it. She went to like you and my mom and she was like, hey, so the florist says that you guys never paid for flower petals, but we're going to take care of it. And so they just like went down the street to a florist and got flower petals.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Your photo booth.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know if I can talk about it. Is it still too soon?
No. If I'm going to talk about like drinking too much at my wedding, you can talk about your photo booth at your wedding.
So we weren't going to do a photo booth. And then, because we were really, really strapped for cash, we had like spent everything, that we had allocated on the wedding. And like a month before, I found a Groupon deal for a photo booth that was like 60% off. It was going to be like $250 for like a 4-hour photo booth. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's just do it. So we paid for this package that came with like custom prints and different backdrops. And it said like your attendant will be like dressed in wedding attire. The photo booth guy shows up 45 minutes late. He's in a white, like, wife beater. Not a wife beater. It was like a t-shirt. I shouldn't dramatize it. With, like, a ketchup stain on the front. That I never want to be rude because I'm sure he was a perfectly nice guy. But for my wedding, he was dressed like a gas station attendant.
Yeah.
And he was wearing, like, a trucker hat that said, like, Bud Light on it. And the photo booth machine broke. It never worked. They didn't make custom strips. And he was being really rude to anyone who went over there to try to take a photo. And he was like, literally Steven and I hadn't even eaten yet. And he was like demanding his vendor meal to like my wedding coordinator. He was like, where's my meal? And she's like, it's literally 4:00. Like they haven't even eaten yet. And I was really embarrassed by that. That was like the only thing about my wedding that I genuinely was like, this should have been different. Cause like I said, the other things that went wrong, they were fine. We worked it out. But that one was really hard for me to swallow. I didn't want to talk about it for a long time. Also, another thing that was pretty easy to fix, my dress started to rip on the hem because we were dancing. I had like a big ball gown. Everyone was stepping on it. And after about 30 minutes of dancing, I got a little upset and Steven and I had walked away and he looked at me and he's like, hey, you can either get upset about your dress and stop dancing or you can go rip it to shreds on the dance floor and have a good time because you're never going to wear it again. And I was like, I'm going to do the second one. And I went, my dress was all ripped. Who cares? I had a great time.
Yeah.
So glad I made that decision.
Also, I feel like another funny thing that we've discussed before is people like bringing big camcorders or like digital cameras and documenting your wedding, but then, like, they don't post it anywhere.
One of our guests was on the aisle seat of the, like, me walking down the aisle, holding, like, an 80s camera, like, camcorder. And in the sweet photos of my dad and I walking down the aisle, my dad's, like, crying. There's just a big hand with, like, an old camcorder. And so we photoshopped it out of the photos. But we never saw that footage. So
like, where did it go? Why did, like, talk about, like, not being in the moment. I feel like we talked about earlier, like baby boomers do, like, kind of crap on millennials sometimes about, like, being on their phones and, like, not being present, which I think is valid. But also, like, why do you need to bring a camcorder to someone's wedding? What? Like, unless you are the videographer and, like, are going to, like, make a video out of it or, like, send it to them or post it on Facebook or do anything with it.
I think it comes from an era when people didn't do videographers.
Yeah.
And now it's like...
But he never offered to send it to you.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't, like, send you, like, a VHS tape.
Nope.
It's so funny. Also, I feel like this episode's really funny because, like, the people who were at our weddings are probably going to be listening to this.
Oh, gosh.
So I feel like we're kind of having to, like, dance around and not say the specifics.
I really don't want to poop on anyone.
I really don't want to poop on anyone. But also, like, that's what, I mean, we're unfiltered.
Yeah.
Like, that's our podcast. We're talking about the best and worst parts of our wedding day.
All right. Do you want to talk? I think that was all the bad stuff that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say your bad things?
Okay, so first of all, I didn't eat anything my entire wedding day. Like, I just was too busy. I have anxiety. Like, anytime anyone offered me anything, I was like, I'll literally throw it right up.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I can hold that down. I'm so anxious. I'm gonna be physically sick. Yeah. Like, I couldn't handle it. But then everyone was giving me alcohol all day, and I got very inebriated. And also, I think the problem is that people give you the alcohol that they associate with you. Yeah. So I think people who actually know me were handing me, like, Pacificos and, like, light beers. And then people who think that they know me were handing me rosé because I feel like I seem like I'm a rosé person, which, like, sometimes I am, but not all the time. Yeah. And then people who didn't know me or, like, older people were giving me, like, lots and lots of champagne. So even if I was like, okay, I'm going to take a little break, I'm going to go dance, people would, like, bring champagne out on the floor and, like, insist that I take it.
And I fully blame Steven for that.
I also blame Steven partially.
So Skylar would, like, someone would give Skylar a drink, she would hand it to me and he'd be like, hey, can you go put this down? I don't want to drink anymore. Yeah. And then Steven would see Skylar empty-handed and be like, the bride doesn't have a drink. And Steven had been drinking.
Also, wasn't Steven, like, doing shots downstairs with people?
In the groomsmen's suite? Yep, with your dad.
Like my dad and stuff.
Steven and Eric, like, hit it off at the wedding.
Oh, we stand. We stand queen.
So Skylar drank more than she expected.
Yeah, which was, like, a bummer. But also I think it let me, like, be a little looser than I usually would be.
Because you get stressed.
I get really stressed, so I do think it de-stressed me. Also, I planned so many, like, fun things for our wedding that were kind of stressful to actually set up. Right. So I felt like I was able to be surprised by them a lot more. Yeah. Like, for our exit, instead of doing, like, rice or a tunnel or, you know, what people normally do, we got a bunch of snow machines.
Which was so sweet.
And then we played From Now On from The Greatest Showman. But I had completely forgotten that that was going to happen. So I was just, like, dancing my little heart away. And then all of a sudden, From Now On starts to come on. And I'm like, oh, this is my jam. This is so special. And then it starts snowing in a theater. Yep. And my mind was just, like, blown. Like, it just was, like, the greatest thing ever. So there are, like, pros to drinking on your wedding day. Yeah. I just think if you're drinking, also eat. Also, we spent so many hours and so much money on, like, the food truck and, like, our appetizers and everything, and, like, got special, like, vegetarian burgers, and I didn't even eat one. Yeah. Never got to enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Yeah, one of the things I liked about having a sweetheart table is that no one could really bother us. Yeah. Because, like, we had our food, like, I got to eat. We also set, like, a very strict drink minimum. Steven and I were like, or maximum, we're like, we're gonna have 2 drinks each. 1 during dinner, 1 during dancing. That's it. Yeah. But I think it's good to, like, at least have that conversation before, because you knew going into your wedding that you were going to drink. You had always said that. You were like, oh, yeah. I'm
like, it's a party. Yeah. Like, it's whatever. But I think the problem wasn't, I don't think I got any drinks for myself the entire night. I think it's because I, like, am out on the dance floor and everyone just kept handing them to me. And if I put it down, someone else would hand them to me. Yeah. So it's partially my fault, but also, like, at some point, like, you can't just keep setting down champagne. Yeah. You have to, like, drink it and get rid of it. Yeah. I would say the other negative part of my wedding was I had a lot of family drama. So some of it I like won't get into, but I think that also, I mean, I had posted like our schedule for the day on like a giant poster board, or not poster board, like a giant easel frame, like at the front of the theater. Like, we're going to have like the ceremony, then we're going to have family photos. While that's happening, we're going to have cocktail hour, then speeches are happening, then this, then that, then the other. And people just completely ignored it. But then we're also like really surprised when Kyle and I went off and took like bridal photos,
which is very normal.
Yeah, like you take bridal photos during cocktail hour.
That's kind of like the purpose of cocktail hour.
So Kyle and I got back, and some family members had been texting you and like bothering you, being like, where are Skylar and Kyle? People are leaving. It's a disaster. And I got back and got talked to sternly by a certain family member, and they were like, people are leaving. What is going on? This is so unorganized. When really, everyone that I knew was still there.
Yeah.
Everyone I knew was drinking and talking to each other. We were gone for maybe 25, 30 minutes taking bridal photos, which is very normal.
Yeah.
So family can be hard. I definitely had to like uninvite some people from my wedding, which was also just like so dramatic and like unnecessary.
Well, and I think for you, it's hard because you always want to be accommodating. But I think one of the most important things to remember about your wedding is having someone there going to give you extra anxiety? Is having someone there going to make your wedding experience worse?
If there's like a family member or a family friend or someone on your spouse's side that's like abusive or awful or like will cause you any sort of distraction on your wedding day, I can wholeheartedly say, do not invite them.
You were so much better off not inviting that person.
Yes.
I think your wedding day was, you never had to worry.
No.
You never had to stress. You didn't have to worry that, someone was going to cause a scene.
Yeah.
And
I've gone through so many life events with that person there where they've made not only me uncomfortable, but so many other people uncomfortable, and not having them there that day, didn't think about them once. It was like the greatest thing ever. So if there is someone that you're like going to be emotionally distressed or is going to make you not enjoy that day because they're there, like, people will forgive you.
And that was a hard decision for you.
That's
but
the
you made the
reality of
right
it.
decision.
Yeah.
So do we want to talk about the positives?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to start off?
So my favorite moment from my entire wedding was, two moments, and they're both just like Steven and I kind of reflecting, was our pastor at one point during the ceremony was like, look out at this room full of people that love you. And we like looked out, and I was like scanning the room, seeing everyone. And my cousin Carter was holding Bruiser because my dogs were in my wedding, and he picked up her little paw and waved it at me.
I never heard that before. That's so sweet.
It was so sweet. It literally like seeing all of these people who I love so much be there for me. And then Bruiser's little paw was so sweet. And then also at one point during the reception, Steven and I took a moment to just step out of the dance floor. We went out like back where the ceremony was and like looked at everyone dancing. And we just had like a 5-minute moment where we just like hugged each other and like said that we loved each other and we were so happy, and like looked at all of our family and friends like dancing and celebrating us. And it was having those little moments of reflection, I think, makes the day go by slower. Totally. When you get wrapped up in everything, it can go by really, really fast, but taking those moments for just the two of you is really, really special.
Yeah.
Also, my dad's toast. I loved your toast, of course. don't think I didn't.
Me.
But my dad is,
Well, my favorite part was everyone's toast except for Sierra.
Yeah, thanks, bitch.
Okay.
No, I loved the toast. Skylar's toast was so sweet. Steven's friend Carson's toast was really sweet, and my dad's toast was like so heartfelt. What were some of my other favorite moments? I really loved my dance with my dad. We choreographed it, so that was really fun. I really loved my dance with Steven. That was another really fun part. I really loved just kind of going with the flow, which is a hard thing for me to do because I'm very planned out. But even at one point, like, the dance floor was popping, and the wedding coordinator came up to me and was like, hey, it's time to do the cake cut. Like, let's cut the music and have everyone go over there. And I was just like, no, I don't want to do a cake cut. And they were like, what do you mean? And I was like, let's just let everyone keep dancing, and Steven and I will cut the cake and take a photo and then go back on the dance floor. And we did that, and I'm so glad we did.
Yeah. That was a lot of moments. I only thought about like 2 in prep of this, so
It's fine.
I'll like go off, but I might not have that many because I just haven't thought about it. I think for sure my favorite moment of the whole night was when, like I've said before, I have anxiety. That should be like the name of the podcast.
I
if
have
I
anxiety.
ever had merch, it would just be I have anxiety. But so I was super nervous when we were up on stage doing our vows, because I feel like vows are usually like a nerve-wracking thing, but since we like literally had theatrical lights on us and I couldn't like look out and see everyone.
And you wrote your own vows. Steven and I didn't, because
So
I
it was,
thought it would
like,
be too emotional.
very like heartfelt and scary, and I was like shaking, but like also very into it.
Yeah.
But so my stepdad actually like officiated our wedding, because we're like not religious, so we didn't have like a pastor or priest or whoever. But so he like told us to like close our eyes and like take a moment and like really just like know that we're never going to be in this moment again, which I like literally grounded me so much. I remember like I saw like a single tear like coming down my cheek, and I looked up and Steven was looking at me and was like,
yeah. Steven always says that like he saw your facial expression completely change.
Totally.
Like you were like kind of anxious and like stressed and tight, and then like you had that moment of closing your eyes and you open your eyes and you were like a new person.
Well, even like literally when we were going out on stage, so if you're not a theater person, you probably don't understand what I'm saying, but so we had like fly rail cues. So like pre-show we had a bunch of lights in, and then when someone walked out, like these lights were supposed to go up and these lights were supposed to come in, and then when another person walked out, like there were multiple things that were supposed to happen. And I was about to walk on stage and I realized that like half of the lights that were supposed to be on stage weren't on stage, and I knew the crew, so I was just like, okay, like when I walk out, like just bring this in, like it'll just be like a moment, it'll be a thing. So I felt like even up until the very last second I was having to like direct things, because the person who was like coordinating wasn't doing that as much as I thought they were going to. And so even up until the last second I was like, this needs to change, please, whatever. And so it was nice to have that moment of like, hey, we're here, the wedding is all just kind of hubbub, like this is like our marriage, it's me and Kyle. I don't need to worry about like the random people. And then also I really loved me and my dad's father-daughter dance, or me and my stepdad's. So I think that was another thing that people going into it were like, because we didn't do a mother-father dance or mother-son dance. And then me and my stepdad's dance was literally to Bon Jovi.
But it was perfect.
And it was like a cheesy choreographed like
it.
fun thing. But like that's what him and I would do when I was a kid. It was like we would like that was my first concert, like him and I going to Bon Jovi, like we would like jump around on the couch. I loved it. It was so
perfect.
much fun. We had moving lights everywhere. And then also during that I had a belt on, and someone in my family had altered the belt because they didn't think that I was the size that I actually was. So it was a little like jerry-rigged, and so it popped off during the dance.
Picked it up.
I literally picked it up and like was swinging it around. And like that might be my favorite part of my wedding day, because I felt like that was the one moment where I just was like, free. Something went wrong. I'm just going to swing it above my head and it's going to be fun. And like,
your first look was also very sweet.
See, it was sweet, but also I just felt like with all the photographers and videographers, I like the moments that I felt like no one was watching me in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that like, I don't know. I mean, we had 2 videographers and 2 photographers, and then like a bunch of people all around us all the time. So I felt like there were some moments where I didn't want to feel like there was an expectation for how I was going to react or how Kyle was going to react. So I liked those like smaller moments of like you and I in the dressing room right before we like went on, and you were like, hey, this is your wedding day. Like, just a reminder, like, let's just be here. Like, these are your last minutes without being married. Like, I think for me, it was just all the little moments throughout the day where I got to have like a one-on-one with someone. Like, even like you and my mom and Jessica and Taylor seeing me for the first time in my dress. I like, there's like a video of you being like, you look beautiful, or I forget what you were saying, or like you say, I'm so happy for you, and like
I'm
I think
happy for you.
but I think like all those little moments where it's less about like
the spectacle,
lights, camera, action, less about like let's get the shot, or is everyone happy, and it's like, hey, we had structured the speeches so that, like, the heavy hitters or the ones that I thought were going to be, like, extra emotional were kind of spaced out with, like, the silly ones.
Yeah.
So I thought, like, Steven and my little sister, who's, like, 13, would be kind of, like, the silly, funny, light ones. And she went up there, and it was just, like, everyone was sobbing.
It was honestly one of the most beautiful speeches I've ever heard.
Like, one of my favorite things she said in it was, she was like, let's be honest, like, Skylar isn't the best sister, but she is the best sister for me. And Steven was writing a best man speech a couple months later, and he was like, I really like that. Maybe I could work that in. But it doesn't work as well when you're like, let's be honest, you're not the best friend.
But you're the best friend for me. Yeah, it does
like,
not
it
work
has
as
to
well.
be with family. But yeah, so I think, like, finding those little moments throughout the day is the most important thing. And if you're planning a wedding, don't let people push you around about the guest list.
Yep.
And don't get too wrapped up in, like, all the hubbub of everything. Yeah. Remember that, like, it's about you and your partner getting married, and try and make the day as, like, true to you as you can, you know?
Retweet.
And yeah.
All right, I think we're going to skip advice for this podcast because we've already gone for a long time and we both are on a really packed schedule today.
Yeah.
But we will be back to the normal advice, you know, kind of structure to the podcast next week. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next time. Bye.